So we have before us today cider and cornbread in anticipation of the Thanksgiving feast to come. These things are indeed symbolic of the fall harvest season and the historic encounter between Europeans and natives of Massachusetts, from which we built our national myth of the first Thanksgiving. We readily acknowledge now that the traditional story that has been handed down to us about that first Thanksgiving for generations in this country has large doses of inaccuracy and fake news in it. We readily acknowledge that what Europeans and their American descendants did to the native peoples of this land basically amounts to genocide. We know the trouble with our past. And yet, there is still something very right in the human heart about Thanksgiving and harvest feasts. And look around you again. Community. Throughout human history, people all over the world, from different cultures, at different times and places, have gathered together to celebrate harvests. And religiously, various traditions throughout time and history have marked sacred holy days with the eating of special foods and drinking of special beverages and special meals. The Christian celebration of communion, or Eucharist, which literally means in Greek, thanksgiving, is such a meal, as is the Jewish Passover dinner, as is the iftar, the meal with which Muslims end the daily fast during Ramadan. So today, for us gathered here, this time and place, cornbread and cider are our sacred meal in community. Corn was and has been and is in many ways still a staple of the indigenous American peoples, but unknown in Europe until they got to this continent. Apples are originally from a wild fruit in Asia, in a region that is now Kazakhstan, of all places. And long ago, apples, through trade, became commonplace and known in the Americas until the Europeans brought them over with them when they first came to these continents. Both corn and apples and the many food and drink made from them are annual parts of fall harvest celebrations, and in our culture, Thanksgiving. And so we gather together, imperfect inheritors of an imperfect history, but also very much a part of the long march of humanity that has recognized having a supportive community and enough to eat and drink and shelter from the coming cold are things we are very right to be thankful and grateful for. And so, together in community this morning, we give thanks. We give thanks for enough to eat, and a place to live, and family, and friends, and congregations with whom we share our very lives. And so, before we continue, let us continue our Thanksgiving. Now, I ask this every Sunday. It's something I've done for years. I don't know if you like it or not. But I want to know what you're thankful for this morning. So what else are we thankful for as we come to this table of Thanksgiving? Meriden. The auction committee. Great night last night, auction committee. Very much so.
Jan, say it again.
Yeah.
Family and friends.
Family and friends.
The choir.
The choir.
The barn cat returned.
The barn cat has returned. The prodigal kitten is home. And we have killed the fatted corn muffin, and it's home. Most. We're thankful for our partners the other way. Yeah. What else are we grateful for this morning?
My granddaughter's birthday.
granddaughter's birthday.
Linda.
Hi, Linda. Transportation to get us here together.
Coffee.
The babysitters who watched our youngsters last night at the auction.
Very much. Very much so.
Children in the pews.
The children in the pews.
The banners.
The banners. I love these banners. And I'm going to give thanks again for the chalice behind me. In the chalice in Meriden. Because I think I've said this to a number of people. This is my 12th year since ordination. And the first time, don't tell my other congregations I've served, that the congregation I'm serving actually has a chalice worthy of the symbol of our faith. And not only is it true, it's true in both places. So I'm thinking, finally, thank you. Maybe a simple thing to you, you've been used to your chalices. But you know, the little candle in the real dented bowl that needs polishing, it's the symbol of the tradition. I am so grateful for these.
Thank you, Eileen.
Yeah, woohoo! So for all these blessings and all the blessings in our lives we have left unnamed this morning, we humbly and with genuine heart give thanks. I'd like to ask Jane Diagardi and Tom Oakes, the presidents of the congregations, to come up for the blessing. We'll get Tom over here. So, as I say a blessing, I'm going to have our two presidents put hands over the cornbread and cider in blessing, the way many people bless a meal. Yes, if you come out of the Christian tradition, this will look familiar. That's not the only place this is done. Okay? So I'm going to ask you to put hands just over the elements as we give thanks. This table is now made ready. It is the table of all who answer the call of love. It is a table of sharing with the poor of the world. It is the table of communion with Mother Earth. And so I invite you to this table. You who have much faith, and you who have none, and you who would like to have more. You who have come to such a table often, and you who have never been. You who have strived and succeeded, and you who have strived and failed. For there is, I believe, a creative, sustaining, and transformative power at the heart of all that is in this existence. May we all feel its presence in this corn and this cider. May we feel its presence in each other's company. One with the earth, one with the spirit of life, one in community with each other. We share this meal as a living symbol of the covenantal community we are, and of the beloved community we work to create on earth. And the congregation says together, Amen, which is a word that just means, yes, I agree. So let us say grace before we have our meal. For all those without bread and cider and love and shelter and community, we wish for them these things. For those of us here with bread and cider and community and shelter and love, may we hunger for peace and for justice and for the creation of beloved community. Like so many before us, we have used the ancient symbols of food and drink to express our gratitude, and from that we will now share. So we're going to send the bread with a basket on each inside, and we need our young helpers to come out before we start. One of them is going to help on this side. Come on up, guys. And we're going to have you go on the outside here and just pass these around. We can start with Tom, go down this side. Jane, you go down the inside here. And as you get your cornbread, you may eat it. And we are going to come around with the cider behind the bread. I'll do this side and Kate will do the other.
Cider. Alex?
Yes, and as we were just reminded by a couple people, if you were wondering ever what those little holes were for and the book holders in front of you, they're for those cups for after this is done. Yeah. We have once again used ancient symbols, food and drink. We have once again had a sacred meal. So let us all acknowledge that the divine spark and power that dwells in each and every one of us and in the natural world around us and reaches beyond us to the limits of human understanding, is one that we are invited to connect to and be in relationship with, so that it sustains us the way do food and drink. And so let us now pledge ourselves to the days ahead and commit to building a world where we neither oppress nor hurt one another. And may ours be the holy will to peaceful living, which will prove to be, in a very real sense, the salvation of the world.